All right, here's our Manchester project. We are just starting to strip the third level. You got your Insul-Deck garage over here, which I'll show you in a bit, but kind of wanted to talk about a little bit of the bracing. What we're looking at is the outside here of a gable great room. Basically, this is the third level, and then just extra high ceiling in there. And we use pre-buck on the top of that wall. Hopefully you can see that there, and there's some little ports cut in it. And the best way to do this is to fill each as you go. It's easier to go down, actually, is what I mean. But no matter what, it's a pain in the butt. So we put the pre-buck on top. That helps straighten the top, and then you've got the plywood to hold it down, essentially. What you're seeing here with these 2x4s, that's our whaler board that helps keep the corners where they need to be. Our dimensions the same overall, and it does make it somewhat easier to straighten. These little squares at the corners, we put those on the short end of the corner to tie it to the block next to it. That helps that corner stay straight, especially if the mud is a little bit too wet or it gets over vibrated. Here you've got the Hulk waterproofing. It's done about halfway up, waiting for the owner to backfill a little more, and we can do the top portion of that waterproofing. So way up there is that is an extra tall gable. Same height overall, but no subfloor between, as you can see. This concrete beam was poured with the second pour, so we did not have to shore it this time. We just braced the upper window down to it. And this particular third level was pretty unique. There was a lot of walls, ICF walls, that were not supported underneath by other ICF walls. Typically, we like to have the footprint match the whole way up. Here you can see that wall is stepped back. So is that wall. And when we get inside, I'll show you some others that are different and how we accomplish that. So this offers a good view of how that was done. Not my design here, but it worked out pretty well. The floor system runs straight through, ties into this concrete lintel. And so we could actually set that wall right on plywood. And then under that plywood, to add some additional support to carry the weight, you got 75 pounds per square foot of wall with a 6-inch wall. To support that weight, we added this shoring down to the main level floor, but then we have to add shoring under that as well, which you see here in the basement. This is shoring. We have shoring over there. We have shoring over here. We have shoring over here, because there are those 4 spots that you've got ICF wall kind of hanging out over nothing. So that ICF becomes its own beam with certain rebar in the bottom. So here's a closer up look of that. You can begin to see how we did some of these with a pre-buck bottom, and then used our giraffe bracing to support it upright. Now these we put in, boy, it's not focusing very well here. We put in to keep that pre-buck from twisting on us, and then that whole giraffe wall could just collapse, which would be a complete nightmare. This beam column is holding some of the weight. Interesting design, again, not my design. And out here you have some wall resting on this steel beam. So that beam had some rebar welded to the top of it to keep it in place. There you are, seeing the guys start to take things down. It doesn't look too high up right now, but it is way up there once you're on that scaffold. Way up there.
Bigger bit? Yeah.
And here we have another spot where we made an ICF beam. And you've got these Simpson brackets in here to continue the floor system in. So they'll attach a ledger board here, and then the subfloor will go out over and attach into that ledger board to support the bottom of this beam. And here's a look at what that looks like on the other end. Again, above these 2x4s is another ICF wall that becomes its own beam. It is not being supported by the floor system, but by the strength of the concrete beam itself. All right, let's head down into the basement so I can show you the Insul-Deck garage. First, I should show you the top. There it is, nice 3-stall garage. Sloped from this end to this end out the doors. All right, down on the main level again, or basement level again, sorry. There it is, your Insul-Deck garage. We've still got a little bit to take down of our draft bracing, but nice big workshop. Very quiet down here, so you could make lots of noise and not bother anyone.